What's up, everybody, and welcome to Growing Up Gaming, your weekly podcast where we meet a new person of the internet to discuss their childhood with gaming and how it inspired their lives today. My name is Mitch Power. Again, thank you guys so much for returning each and every week to the show. Hope you're subscribing on iTunes or Google Play or on YouTube or on Spotify, which if you're checking me out on any of those platforms and you're listening to this show, I greatly appreciate it. This week on the show, we have our guest. His name is Sterling Silver. Met this man on Twitter with the help of Bobby. I put out a tweet. He was nice enough to tag some people. Sterling saw it, sent me a tweet, and we hooked up, and you get to hear all of his awesome stories of living in the middle of nowhere and how that may have affected some of his gaming habits growing up. If you guys want to be on the show just like Sterling was, go ahead and send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 on Twitter or at the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. Without further ado, let's get things started with Sterling Silver. Do you remember what initially got you started playing games? Was it a family member? Was it a friend? Was it some kiosk you saw at a store or anything? Do you remember what got you started?
Yeah. It was just my dad. My dad had gotten us a NES from one of our neighbors. I remember like driving over to their house, and I think they had it like in the barn. Like it was just in a box. And this was probably like early 2000s. So like, I mean, it's old, but it's not like shove it in the barn old.
It's not like box in a barn old. Come on.
Yeah.
You save that for antiques like milk cartons and like
yeah. Old
box
like
in a
Coke
barn
bottles.
Right.
And we got Super Mario Bros. 3. We had a Ninja Turtles game, which I can't remember. And I remember this like horror Metroidvania game called Ghoul School.
That sounds like the most Nintendo-ass game I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, it was like, I thought I had like made the game up. You know, when like you had that like obscure cartoon you watch when you're younger and you're like, did this actually exist? Because no one else watched it besides me.
Right, they don't know what you're talking about.
That was it. It was Ghoul School for me. I was like, is this real? Because I couldn't remember the name of it. And I tried looking it up online, like to no avail. I even looked up like zombie school game on NES, right. And like nothing came up until I think I saw someone else talk about it. I was like, this game is real. I'm not insane.
Just like that movie, like that supposedly happened with Sinbad as a genie that wasn't real. Like, did you ever hear about that? Like, everybody swears to God Sinbad was in a movie where he played a genie and it was called like Shazam or something. And everybody's like, that movie's not fucking real. Like, that movie doesn't exist.
No, it
like,
has to be.
No,
Even isn't he like dressed in purple and shit?
I'm telling you, it's not a real movie. I swear to God, there was an article where it was like, I don't know how it got started, but there was like, somebody thought that was a real movie, and Sinbad's like, no, bitch, I ain't never been in a movie where I was a genie. I'm Sinbad. What are you talking about?
It's gotta be like an episode of one of his shows or something.
No, I swear to God, it was like a figment of someone's imagination, and then it perpetuated into like a real thing that people swear to God they saw. I swear to God, Google it. It's an article like theirs out there. It's like, the movie everybody thinks exists that never happened. And I'm like...
That's what I mean. You just mentioned it, and I was like, well, yeah.
Yeah, duh, of course, that's a real movie. No, like, it's just weird. But again, like, when you said Ghoul School, I was like, yeah, that sounds like some 90s, like, Nintendo game. And I'm sure it existed. So, yeah, I mean, barn, okay. So when you say barn, that makes me think you grew up kind of like... somewhere I'm going to say middle of nowhere. Where did you end up
in
growing
barn
up?
country.
In barn country. Where did you end up growing up?
You're from the States, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Canadian. I'm from Ontario, and I grew up in a small town that was like in the middle of Ottawa and Toronto. Okay. So it was like a 2.5 hour drive each way.
Damn, you're in like the 2.5 hour territory. Got it.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the serial killer Russell Williams?
I have not, but it sounds terrifying already.
He was the Army colonel in the Canadian military. He even like met the Queen and stuff. And he had a cottage in my hometown, and that's like what my hometown is known for.
What is it known for? A murderer.
Yeah, that's literally like, oh, it's the town that nothing ever happens. Like, that's something happened, and that's what our town is now known for.
Jeez.
Yeah. But yeah.
The 2.5 hour drive, though, that says a lot because, like, if you say I'm 2.5 hours away from a major city, for the most part, you know the kind of situation you're talking about. Like, straight middle of nowhere. Did you have dirt roads? Did you have, like, did you not get internet until, like, 2005? Like, what happened?
Oh, man, you already know my childhood.
I know it because, like, I'm not going to say, like, I had buddies who lived in the middle of nowhere, but I had, like, one of my friends, his name was Chris. He lived about, I won't even say, like, 30 minutes away from, like, town, quote unquote, but he lived straight in the middle of nowhere where, like, his dad had won the lottery and won a game show. Good for them. But they had
won a what?
He won a game show, right?
Oh.
Like a game show, won a jackpot on a game show, and then won the lottery. Not like millions of dollars, but good enough to the point where, like, they had a really nice house but it was in the middle of nowhere. They had, like, you know, no internet, no cable, barely phones, like, you know what I mean? Like, but I know what you're talking about because, like, I remember everybody else had awesome internet, and Chris is like, I gotta get, like, maybe satellite internet or something because nobody's fucking out here. Like, I get what you mean, though, because, I mean, and again, there was no cable, so they had one, let's put it this way. They were so rich, they had that satellite dish that was like 9 foot big. like
that looks like the NASA, like, satellite.
Like, it's so big, and it's just like, you know that you have enough money to live in the middle of nowhere and have satellite TV before DirecTV made a dish that's only 3 foot big, maybe. No, you have a dish that literally could be turned into a skate ramp. Like, it is huge as fuck. And it was
some people still have that in my hometown, like, in their front yards. Like, I don't know if they still use it, but they just never got rid of the huge dish.
Oh yeah. You know why? Because it would cost more to get rid of it than it's worth. Like, they would that's what happened. Chris eventually, you know, they got good satellite. You know, they actually got, like, good TV, but of course they just kept the dish there because it was cemented into the ground, and you know what I mean? It was like a staple of their home. Like, they couldn't just get rid of it. So yeah, dude. Like, I know what you're talking about, though. So you kind of lived there. Did you have that situation where it was like a distance between homes, where it was like a trek to get to the next home?
Like my next door neighbor?
Yeah. Like, was it like a good amount away from each other?
My childhood home was kind of like an island in a way. We were surrounded by water, so there was 3 other houses, like, on this island type deal. And they were just like a minute walk away. But if you went to, like, the next people over, it was like, yeah, you didn't have to, like, drive half an hour, but, like, they would not be considered neighbors. Like, they were, like, multiple farm fields away. Right.
Like, to be considered neighbors, you have to, like, see the home and, like, be able to, like, walk to it within a certain
shouting distance.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Shouting
This was distance. Like, you need 10 megaphones to hear them and maybe, like, a sniper scope to see them.
Right. There you go. Yeah. Shouting distance is how you define neighbors. If I could yell and you could hear me, we're neighbors. That's a good definition. I've never thought of it that way. Like, that's how you define who neighbors are. Because, yeah, when you live in the middle of nowhere, your neighbors could be 3 minutes down the road in a car. That's not really a neighbor. You just happen to live in the middle of nowhere together. Like, that's what it is.
And, like, the whole, like, small town, you know, you need a car to get around. You can't just walk to your neighbor's house or, like, across the neighborhood. Like, absolutely plays into, like, my gaming history personally.
I was going to say, 'cause, like, that's the thing. Like, if you didn't have the ability to just see people and interact with others socially, like, your gaming habits are going to be completely different.
Like, my child, so I had my childhood home that I lived until I was about 14. And when we moved out to, like, the next town over, that was when I got, like, internet. Like, that's when,
You became connected to the world.
Yeah, literally. That's when I could online game, like, to some degree. That's when town was a lot closer. I even lived around a few, like, kids, even though they weren't the type of people I'd hang out with. They were still, like, my age.
They were just they were people of the same age. They were just bodies that you could say hi to.
Yeah, literally. It was just like, oh, there is life out here. Like,
Other people exist. That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I thought I was the only kid in Whoville.
Yeah, exactly. I was the only kid this age. Everybody else is just older than me.
Yeah.
So your dad was nice enough, though, to find a dude who had an NES in a barn like it was some sort of ancient relic.
Like a old barn cat that he was giving away.
Right. I need to make space in my barn for the next ancient relic. Can you take this NES off my hands?
Throws a SNES in there afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Let that age. Let that get that barn.
It's a fine wine.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So I mean, at least your dad was cool though, and was nice enough to get that for you.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like he did. I don't know why. Like him and I have never really had this conversation. Like why he just bought this for us. It was probably like, oh, this is new technology. This is what kids like type deal. And he probably just thought I'd play it every now and then as something to do. Probably didn't think I'd be like addicted to it like crack, but we got it. I played, the living crap out of Super Mario Bros. 3. Like my life depended on it.
Well, yeah, even though that game is phenomenal.
Yeah, even though it was garbage. The other last month I was at.
Did you say Mario 3 was garbage?
I didn't mean to. If I did, I didn't
Mario
mean
3
to.
is garbage. Time out.
No, it's great. It's freaking
okay.
amazing.
I thought you just said Mario 3 was garbage. I was about to.
No.
Well, thanks for being a guest. Have a good day.
What's your name again? All right, see ya.
Yeah, I don't know who you are. Like you just said, Mario 3 was garbage.
I was at this comedy show, and I was in front row, and it was a really awkward show. And the guy's just like, "Hey, what's your name?" I was like, yada yada yada. He's like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I write about games." He's like, "What's your favorite game?" And of course, I like obscure games, so I wanted to know, wanted him to know, what game I said, so I just, blurted out Super Mario Bros. 3, because, that's had such an impact on me.
Sure.
But, it just, obviously, I'm even if that's not my all-time favorite game, it's still a bloody fantastic game. But, yeah, I never found out why my dad actually got me that old barn nest.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a new category. There was 3 different models in the NES. There was the OG one, the top loader, and then the barn NES. It was probably a different color because it sat in the barn forever.
Yeah.
Did it and the funny thing too is a lot of people when it came to getting secondhand NESs, for some reason they came with 7 controllers. And 3 of the button, and the A button was funky on 2, but instead of tossing it in the garbage, they just kept it. I don't get why that ever happened. So you got that though, Mario Brothers 3, Turtles, and I mean, you got Mario 3 though, dude. Come on, Mario 3 is a pretty good game. Were you did you have any siblings growing up to where you had people to play games with?
Yeah, I had an older brother. And it was a classic, he's Mario, I'm Luigi, since I'm the younger brother.
Of course, he's player 1 all the time, which is always such a bullshit thing. But then again, I'm the older of my siblings, so I get it. I'm player 1. You're player 2, Michelle. You're not player 1. Come on, get out of here. So no, I mean, at least though he was good. So how much older was he?
3 years.
Okay, so that's actually though that's not terrible because there's certain people who have older siblings that are far older. But you I'm not saying it's bad to have somebody that's far older, but it's just the dynamic, especially playing games and stuff, just because if somebody's super older, they're into next level shit that you're not even thinking about as a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
If you had a brother who was in high school and you're 5 or 6, he's thinking about far more things than video games.
That was always our common ground as brothers, because we're pretty opposite people, but that's what we always did together. That's always what we talk about now when we see each other at Christmas or something.
Right. But that's always good to have that common ground, especially with somebody close to you.
Yeah. Because my thing was always video games, and he liked things like watching sports. He was always a lot more academically inclined than I was, but we always bonded over games. We always played co-op stuff together. And
I was gonna say, I mean, because the good thing is at least you had somebody to play the co-op games with, because it's not like you were finding anybody locally. You were finding too many people hanging out around you playing games as well. I
remember going to school when I was young, and it's yo, everyone else is playing Pokemon too? Like, you guys know what this is? And that was I always like mix up what exactly my first experience was, because I can't remember like what year it was and how old I was. It's all just like, back in the good old days.
Right.
So my two stories is, I got the barn nest, or the other one is that my brother brought home other people's Game Boys to train up their Pokemon in like Pokemon Red and Blue.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because people are like, I don't want to waste my time with this. My brother's like, give it to me. I don't like have anything to play.
I wonder if your brother was like bartering for things like, yo.
I think he was. I remember him.
Had to be like, that's like a part-time job. It's like, hey, I
remember him like bartering a hockey card ring at school, like him being like, yo, I'll give you this like hockey card for 25 cents or something, and
right.
By the end of the week, he'd have like $5 or something.
Nice. That's awesome. Or you get those people that somehow can turn like $1 into a $200 item. Like, I don't get how those things work. You get those people like, I traded a paperclip for an airplane. Like, how the fuck do you end up doing that? Like, how many idiots did you have to go through to figure out until you got an airplane from a paperclip? Like, you always see those weird, I remember like seeing articles like that, and I'm like, man, you talked to a bunch of stupid people who obviously didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
I only had that happen one time, and I felt so bad. Like, I like reversed it. It was actually about Pokemon cards, which is really funny. I went to some boys and girls club, like just, like hang out like with all these other kids and stuff. And I had a card, I think it was a Chansey, and this kid had a Doug Trio, which was rarer than the Chansey card was.
Oh yeah.
But the, Chansey had more HP. As far as in the game goes. So I was like, yo, man, this it's better, man, because it's got more HP than yours. He's like, cool, I'll trade you. And I was like, awesome. And I traded him. And then like 3 minutes later, I was like, I'm a piece of shit. I can't do that. And I went back and was like, hey, actually, this card's worth a lot more than that card. Can I get it back? And he's like, at first he thought I was like fucking with him. And he's like, I'm like, no, ask anybody. I'm like, no, ask anybody. Like, as anybody who knows Pokemon cards, they'll tell you I was a piece of shit and I almost tried to screw you out of a card. And they're like, yeah, he was kind of
I had a ton of Pokemon cards, like binders full when I was younger. And of course, when you're younger, like low amounts of money seem like the world, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I sold the binders for like $25. Probably spent like good couple hundred on them, my $5 allowance.
Right.
And I remember like coming home from school and I was like, Mom, I got $20. And she's like, what? Like, how did you get $20?
Right.
I was like, remember like all my Pokemon cards you always like buy for me at the store? And she's like, yeah. I was like, I sold them all. And she just like looked at me for a few seconds. And I think that was like the biggest time my mom was like disappointed in me. Like, just like the sigh of like, God, my kid's an idiot.
Like, my kid fucked up.
I even like dropped out of university and my mom's like, that's okay. Like it's fine. But like, you sold your Pokemon card? She's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Do you know how much money like you spent on that?
I think the only time that happened, yeah, I mean, so I actually was so big into Pokemon for the longest time. Like, I actually got a job at a here's how this was so illegal. I was at a comic book store, and I was one of the more mature kids that were there. Like, I was actually, like somewhat older than most of them, but I was also just more mature as like a person. And they were like, hey, we want to talk to you in the back real fast. And I'm like, this sounds sketchy, but I did it anyway. So then I went back there and they were like, hey, we want you to help out run the Pokemon tournaments. We want you to like help coordinate them and help, get people placed and, basically just help basically be an employee of the store. Yeah. And I was just like, all right, cool. And they're like, we'll pay you in store credit. So if you want to buy cards or whatever, every Saturday we'll pay you $20 in store credit. And I was like, awesome. And now that I think back on it, basically that was child labor. They paid me in store credit instead of real money. It was all under the table. And I basically worked every Saturday for years for $20. I was there for hours and I got paid. But dude, you know how happy I was? I was like, again, like you just said though, $20. I was like, $20 a Saturday. That could get me so many packs of cards. I was like, hell yeah, I'll do it. And, I even told my parents and they were like, cool with it. They weren't like, You're kind of using our kid for child labor. They were like, cool, whatever. I mean, because again, you know why? Probably because they probably didn't have to pay the $20 to give me money for cards. They were like, fuck it, we're dropping you off anyways. Might as well get some money out of it.
They get time away from you, and
yeah, exactly.
If you decide to sell it,
yeah, exactly. Hold on, you're leaving us, and we don't have to give you money. Fucking go away. Just go have fun. But yeah, dude, I was like super into Pokemon cards, and yeah, I'm right there with you though, dude. Because here's the problem though, and I actually just talked about this on my previous podcast. The problem is with Pokemon, it's such a social experience.
Mm-hmm.
So did you just mostly hang out and do shit with your brother and stuff, or were you doing stuff with kids at school? Like, because I mean, he was talking about how he didn't get into Pokemon that much because he was mostly, he didn't have too many friends and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because the whole point of that game is to be socially interacting with others and trading with people and battling and all that shit. Same thing with the card game. Like, it's cool to look at the cards, but I mean, when you play the game, it makes so much more sense to have those cards and stuff. But it's like, did you have like a lot of people to interact with in that way?
There was like a few other kids who like collected them as well. But I remember me personally never like bringing a lot of my cards to school at once because I didn't want them to like get lost or like stolen or something. But whenever we did and like we played like Pokemon, it would always be like, oh, I attack you with this move. It does like 20 damage, which is the wrong way to play. That's not the way the card game is like intended.
So you just made up like your own rules for the game?
Yeah. And then we're always like, this is too easy. Like whoever has like an overpowered card just wins because they have a lot of attack and HP.
Right.
So
they
like we'd always be like
a process to get that card out into play and all that stuff. Right.
So we'd just be like, this kind of sucks. Let's just do something else, which is nothing.
Did you ever actually get to a point where you played the card game by the rules?
No.
I
watched a lot of my friends in high school do it though. But that was when I was like, I'd rather spend my money on actual games than like
the cards
buying
themselves.
And like every time I considered it, like, maybe I should get back into this so I can play with my friends. I had like Vietnam flashbacks of like selling my cards and then my mom like looking so disappointed.
Oh my God. That's really fun. I mean, I won't say, I don't think I've had a disappointment. Like when it comes to cards, like again, I was actually pretty good on the card front. The one problem I had was like, I let a friend, here's what pissed me off. I let a friend borrow a video game, right? Mm-hmm. Which in general, you gotta do tradesies, right? You can't
absolutely.
You can't just let a kid borrow your game without you getting something of theirs, right? You can't do that, which I learned the hard way. So I let a friend borrow a game, and then like one day at school, he just wasn't there. I'm like,
what?
I'm like, where'd Aaron go? Because I haven't seen Aaron in like a fucking week. Where did Aaron go? And they're like, bro, Aaron moved, and he like moved out of state. I'm like, that fucker had my video game. And like, I never saw the game again. And I remember having to go to tell my mom, and I was just like, Mom, this is what happened. And she's just straight like, well, there's not much we can do about it now. I don't know Aaron's mom. I don't know where they went. She goes, you just got to chalk it up to make that a life lesson. And I was like, you're right. That is a life lesson. We're not doing that shit ever again. That was a real bummer. But again, my mom wasn't really disappointed. She was just like, that's what you get, stupid.
Yeah,
like,
now you know.
Like, guess what? You'll learn next time. You won't do that shit again. So, and I never did that. Now that I'm an adult, it's a bit different because, like, I've actually occasionally, my friends will be like, hey, can I, like, borrow this controller or something? And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. I know you. I know where you are. I know how to find you. So I'm not some kid who doesn't have means to get to your house.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also never brought my cards really to school because there was definitely a point in time when, like, parents got, like, letters saying, like, this shit is distracting. Don't bring your cards to school, or don't bring your cards to school because some prick kid is going to take them. Like, you're going to get your cards stolen.
I remember that.
There was a bad time at school, man. Like, it was almost like drugs in a way. It's like, man, you got that Charizard. Yeah, man, what do you want to trade for it? Like, it was just like fucking stupid. Like, you were just talking code and shit and talking like back when text message wasn't around, you just wrote notes. I'll trade you this for this. Yeah, I was like definitely treated as if it were like actual drugs. No, just Pokemon cards. But to kids, that was almost the same thing.
Yeah, at my school, it was Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and like literal Beyblades. Like, we'd be like, yo, let's do a Beyblade fight, and if you lose, I get yours. And of course...
oh my God, that's like racing for pink slips.
yeah, and of course, like, who'd ever win would be like, hey, give me your Beyblade now. And the kid would be like, no, I was just joking.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like, don't take it. And the kid's like, no, F you. Like, this is mine now. And then it'd end up in like a fight or something, or like an argument, and the teachers would like get involved because they hear kids fighting, and they'd be like, what's going on? And of course they see the Beyblades, and then like you said, it'd be like the notes home, like kids are no longer allowed to bring Beyblades to school.
Yeah, it you know, it reminded me, as soon as you said that, and it started to remind me of Fast and Furious, Jesse, when he like lost the race and he just drove away and didn't bring the car back, and then he ended up getting shot.
Yeah.
Like, this is what happens. Yo, man, I can completely, I imagine the kid who was like, yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I'll get yours I'm not going to lose. You're going to lose. And then he loses hard. And he's like, no, man, no, I was just playing, man. I don't want to give it to you, man.
Literally.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's awesome. But yeah, like same thing, racing for pink slips. Jesse lost that race and didn't come back with the car. He just fucking went home. That's what happens. And then Jesse got shot, so I'm sure that kid ended up getting his ass beat later or something. Like, oh my God. No, but yeah, that happened. And the same thing with Game Boys and stuff. Like, there was always that thing. At least you went to a school, though. Like, you went and interacted with other kids at least. So, I mean, you weren't that weirdo that was in the middle of nowhere and you were homeschooled, because that's just next level, zero social interaction with other people.
Yeah.
So at least you
get to school and you're like, what do you mean you don't like date your cousins? Like, yeah. Everyone in my family does.
Wait, you're telling me at 15 you still don't kiss your dad on the mouth? What are you talking about? Like, no, we don't fucking do that here. Where did you grow up? Yeah, exactly. That's what happens. So, well, as far as like the game side of things goes, so you had a Nintendo. And it was like the year like 2000. So, I mean, it was definitely, there was other things that were out at the time.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean, how did you progress? Like, were your parents cool with you playing games and everything? Like, obviously they were cool with enough to get you the console. But I mean, were they like encouraging of it, or were they like, no, that shit's, you need to get out and do something else or whatever? How are they about it?
They were in like the early years. So, like, obviously I had the NES, like when the N64 came out, right? Like, so I was a couple gens behind, and then our next console was the PS1. And again, my dad bought that for us. I don't know where he got it from, but he just like came home with it one day, and he's like, "Hey, here you guys, like, play this." And I remember we broke it. I don't know how we broke it, but we did. And again, my dad just like showed up with another one. And we were like, yo, cool, like our dad's the boss. He's just like bringing home consoles like it's his day job.
Right.
And then the next was the original Xbox. I think that's when like we got it for Christmas. And that was like when I was starting to get like 10 or no, probably like 9 or 10 or something like that. Again, I always mix the years up. And that's when like I did nothing but play video games. Like, I didn't go outside. Like, if I went to a friend's house, we'd play video games.
Right.
And that's when, like, my parents kind of stopped being, like, supportive of it. They were like, nah, this is a waste of time. It's all you do. Like, maybe you should go outside, like, go read a book, like, stuff like that.
Right. Because, I mean, real quick, as a parent now, you want your kids not just to be invested in one thing. Yeah, you kind of want them to explore different things. But also, too, like, my parents, I never got just sucked into video games. Like, video games were a big part of my childhood. But then there was times where I didn't play really any games at all and I was doing something else. But also too, my parents were kind of in the boat where as long as you're not causing trouble and you have good grades, I don't really give a shit what you do. Like, that's kind of how my parents were. They were just like, I don't care if you're into this. I don't care if you're into this. I don't care if you want to spend your money doing this. I had good grades and I wasn't a bad kid. So they didn't care. Like, they're just like, if that's what makes you happy, sure. And I've tried to instill that in my kids. Like, yeah, I really don't care what you do. I really don't. But if you have bad grades, we're going to have problems. Like, we're going to have problems if you're bad grades, or if you're basically, my whole goal as a father is to have my kids grow up and not be assholes. Like, that's literally all I want as a father. Like, if you can grow, I don't care what job you do. As long as you're not an asshole, I am so proud of myself that I raised a kid who wasn't an asshole, because there's way too many of those in the world, and I'm not trying to be responsible for any of them. So,
well, back in the day, right? Like at the time when your dad or something is like, stop wasting your time, and you're like, fuck you, Dad. This is what I like.
This is what I love.
Yeah,
you don't understand.
But then, like, growing up, it's like, I absolutely see where you're coming from. Like, I probably should, like, yeah, it's not a waste of time, but I can see from your point of view how you think it is, and why I shouldn't be just doing all that. And like you said, you wanted, like, as long as you had good grades and you were a good kid. I was a good kid, but I usually got, like, average to just slightly below average grades. So, like, I was slipping at times. So maybe that was another thing where my parents were like, oh, this kid's just stupid. He's just playing games all the time.
He's just a dummy. These video games are making him stupid. Yeah, that's exactly what they thought. No, I mean, again, like, if they become a distraction, like at this point in time, here's a perfect example. My son has F's in some of his grades because he flat just does not turn in homework. He just
that's exactly that's what I did.
So he doesn't have his Xbox right now, and he's pretty bummed out. But he's young enough to the point where he hasn't realized, hey, if you just turn in your shit, we would all be happy. Like, real quick. Everyone in this house would be happy. You'd have your Xbox. I would have a son who isn't doing bad in school. We'd all be happy if you just did this. And again, he's not going to realize until he's older that, like, dude, why did I not just take a moment to give my teacher the homework to not have a bad grade? Like,
yeah, well, you got to install that early, right? Because now, like, I never got that. Like, that, my parents, they definitely, like, if I was doing something really bad, they would take my stuff away. But there was never any real consequence for me doing bad in school besides, like, getting a lecture once I bring my report card home, right? And now, even still, now I struggle to do that stuff sometimes, even though, like, I've gone through high school and college. Like, in high school, I never did my homework.
Right.
Like, I only did if, like, I liked my subject or like, I knew it had to be done. If the teacher was like, this is for low grades or something, I was like, not today.
Fuck that. I know. I'm playing the odds. This is worth 10% of my grade. No, thank you.
Yeah.
That makes, well, I mean, again, it makes sense, but also too, it's like, for whatever reason, when I was younger, I was just like, I did well in school, and I think it was just a fear of, like, what could happen if I didn't. I was just like, ooh, I don't want to see what happens if I bring home a bad grade. But, like, my kids, for example, my daughter, A's and B's. Right? She has her phone. She has a computer. She has whatever the fuck she wants. And my son's just like, it's not fair. I'm like, dude, she does her work. You don't. Like, do you see where the difference is? Like, just do your work. We'll all be good. You'll have your Xbox. Like, dude, right now, for example, his birthday, I'm recording this. By the time this actually launches, his birthday will be, like, shortly after. He wants Fallout 76 for his birthday. And I'm cool with it. I'm like, again, supportive dad. You like that? Cool. I told him, I'm like, you want Fallout for your birthday, right? He says, yeah. I'm like, you better pray to God your grades are even good enough to play your Xbox by the time Fallout comes out, because I'll get you Fallout, but then if you don't have your Xbox, you're not playing it. And he's just like, oh, like, he has that look like, oh shit, I might want to, like, I don't know, buckle down and get this shit done and get it done correctly. So yeah, now he's, again, we've had to go to some extreme measures for him to do his stuff, but also too, I want you to understand early, here's what's happening, and here's what, here's why there's rules, and if you don't follow rules, you don't get your nice shit. Like, sorry, I'll take away your Xbox and all your Nerf guns and all your Legos, and it's okay. So, I mean, again, when they're good, though, they get whatever they want, man. My son is lucky enough to have all this. And again, like, your dad was lucky enough to get you your consoles and stuff, right? So, I mean, he was really supportive of you in there, but then I'm sure, like, you got grounded though from your consoles if you did that shit,
absolutely,
right? Because again, when they know that's the moment, that's your number one hobby and the thing you love, they will take that shit away when you were bad. Like, that's the number one thing they do.
I remember, like, being older and like, my Xbox 360 was like mine, and like, I was in my early teens. I was like, they cannot take this away from me. Like, this is mine. And then my dad did, because, like, I did something stupid, and I just, like, went and got it back, and, like, I was, like, praying to God I didn't get, like, beat or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and, like, surprisingly I didn't, but it was just funny how, like, everyone when they're growing up, they're like, as soon as I'm 18, my parents cannot tell me what to do. And then you're like 22 and they're still, and you're like, okay, mom, like,
yeah.
like,
Well,
please don't
especially
yell
if
at
you
me.
live there still, that's a big deal. Like if if you live there, that's still like, sorry, you still live here. We still kind of we can tell you what to do because you're not paying rent. You're living here. So that's going to happen. That bit me in the ass in a way when my son, for example, for Christmas ended up getting an Xbox One of his own because as a dad who plays games, when I want to play, I don't want you playing your shit. So you got your own for Christmas. You're happy. So he got his own. The thing was that in the TV we hooked up to was in the loft, which was my TV. And again, he would say, that's my Xbox, Dad. Kayla can't play that. That's my Xbox. I'm like, actually, that's my TV. So if you want to get real technical, you just won't have a TV to play it on. How about that? So it was kind of forcing him to like share the Xbox. And I was like, and then he came up to me one day and he's like, what if I saved enough money and bought my own TV?
And you're like, God damn,
and immediately. So again, that was my immediate thought. I was like, oh shit. I'm like, well, if you can save your money, and he has allowance and he earns money, you know, I'm like, if you can save your money, buy your own TV. I can't say anything about it. Now, I know my son, when he gets money, the moment he gets it, he wants to spend it. He doesn't say shit. He, like, the moment he gets $20, he's like, what Nerf gun can I buy for $20? Like, he'll, whatever, right? So my first thought is, nah, this isn't going to happen. The problem was, his birthday is in November. So we actually tell him during Christmas, November, his birthday and Christmas, he's not allowed to spend his allowance because we don't want him to buy a gift that somebody could buy for him for his birthday, right? We don't want him to buy all of his own shit and then when his birthday comes around and we can't get him anything. So we actually tell him, you cannot spend your allowance during Christmas and your birthday. But then for his Christmas and for birthday, he got money. And with all of that, he literally looked at me. It was like Christmas morning after that. He goes, Dad, I want to buy a TV. I'm like, okay. He goes, look at my allowance. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I was like, oh, no.
That's when
and it was like literally like, and like the moment I was like, and that's when he realized he fucked up. Like that's when it popped in my head. I was like, oh no. And he's like, hey Dad, I have enough for a TV. I have enough for a wall mount and I would like you to mount it in my room, please. And I was like, oh no, like I really messed up. I said good. But again, I was actually proud of my son because at the same time he was not, you know, he had enough money saved up. He didn't go nuts. He didn't buy anything else. He really wanted a TV. But then my leverage was gone. I was like, oh, this sucks. But
here's the thing. You're the cool dad because you didn't use the bullshit excuse of saying, no, you can't get a TV. Why not, Dad? Because I said so.
Because by the way, that because I said so line is 100% a valid line that I use constantly. But no, like I wanted to teach him because when I was younger, I asked my grandma for a PlayStation and at the time they were like $400 or $300 and she's like, you're out of your mind. I'm not spending $300 for you for Christmas. Yeah. And I told her, I'm like, what if I get half? And she's like, you get half, I'll spend the other half for you. And that drove me to like work and earn my money. And I got half and I got a PlayStation. I was fucking happy. So I was the same thing for him. I'm like trying to teach him now you work hard. You can get what you want. You just have to bust your ass and work hard. And he did that. So that's what happened. So, so like the cool thing though with you is at least your dad was just like, here's a console. So at least you didn't have to go nuts doing that. But also too, you were getting things later in the console generation too though. So when you got your PlayStation, was PS2 out by then and everything?
Oh yeah.
I think it was like way out. Okay.
It must have been like 2003 or 4.
Gotcha.
So I was born in 97.
Right. Now I'm old.
So,
okay, go ahead. You're fine. Don't worry about
it. I must have been like, maybe 6 or 7 when I got the PS1.
Yeah.
So that would have been like
2004.
Yeah. And then again, a couple of years later, I got the GameCube.
Right.
So I was always constantly behind. And again, like with the NES, like I was way behind.
Sure, because you were like 2 generations behind. But at least it sounds like you caught up rather quickly. Like you went...
I finally...
NES to PlayStation is a fucking jump. Like that's a jump, dude. Wow.
I finally caught up when I got a Wii. And again, I got a Wii pretty damn late.
But at least you were current still. Like there were still games coming out for the console by the time you got it.
Like I had the Wii and then I sold that and all my games for a 360.
Smart man.
And then again, I had the 360 for like, I don't know, maybe like a year or two, and they're like, Xbox One and PS4. I was like, but I just got this.
That's a big kick in the mouth, man. Like I mean, it sucks. But here's the other thing too. In your case, and this is what I've said before to other people, it's not necessarily a bad thing to get a console late in its life cycle because you don't have to go through all the bullshit that people do when they first buy it. Example, like when a game comes out, when a new console comes out, like shit doesn't come out for it for a while. And you don't have to deal with that.
It's expensive, right?
It's expensive, and like
I think I got my GameCube for like $200.
Right. So when you get it, it's like you don't have to deal with all that shit. You just get the best of whatever happened on that console.
And there's a plethora of games to choose from as well.
Yeah. 100%. And that's why, like, I've never shit on somebody who's like, oh, I got a PlayStation 2 right as PS3 came out. I'm like, fuck, you got all these awesome games. Like, you don't have to wait for anything. Like, dude, when the 64 came out, games were so scarce. They were not coming out often at all. Yeah. You buy a 64 at the end of its life cycle, you're like, shit, I got all these games to play. Like, you don't have to deal with all that nonsense. Like, but for you to get a 360, though, the crazy thing is the 360 was out for so long.
Yeah.
That you had a good amount of shit, even though the new system was two years later or whatever, you still had a good amount of stuff to play.
Oh, absolutely. And like, I didn't even play a lot of the exclusives. Like, I'm not a Halo fan, and I'm not a Gears fan. And there was probably like 6 of those games on the 360, right?
Right.
And that's still to my day, even though I've had like my PS4 for a couple of years, my 360 collection is still my biggest.
Yeah.
Just because like games were so cheap. There were so many of them,
right?
And it was fun. I had the system; it was there.
Yeah, I personally like. I've been an Xbox guy. I don't shit on other consoles because that's stupid. But like when the 360 came, I mean the 360 though. Now, example, it's kind of weird now because they changed it all with like how the X came out after the Pro. So like now people's multi-platform console could be different, right? But like when it was like for example, PS2, Xbox, GameCube, it was always the PS2. Like that was your multi-platform. Like if a game came out on all of the above, a lot of people had it on PS2 for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, when it came to like with the 360, PS3, Wii generation, 360 was the multi-platform console. Like that was the thing that everyone bought something for. Like nobody bought Call of Duty for PlayStation. I'm sorry. Like,
I played.
If you look at how many people bought it, like there's so many more copies sold on 360 than there were PS3 ever.
Mm. Absolutely. And so, like
now, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
And I mentioned before, right? Like I got the 360 in 2011, 2010. I think 2010. And a year after that is when I moved, and when I moved, I got internet, right? And then I could play with my friends online, and that's when like it all started. Like I'd come home every night, like talk with my friends all night, play Call of Duty, play Final Fantasy, and even if again like I was playing Final Fantasy, which is a single player game, I'd still talk to my friends. Like it was an absolute blast. And even though like I was still late to the party, a lot of the people that I hung out with and talked to, all my friends at school, were also, because we weren't old enough to have jobs yet. And again, we all lived in the middle of nowhere. And still to that day, some of my friends, when I was that age, didn't have good enough internet.
Right.
I didn't even know, when I had the GameCube, I didn't even know what the Wii was. I didn't know it was a thing until years later, until I got it. And when I got it, I was like, oh, this is the first year it's out type deal.
Right.
No.
Yeah, you're just no, it's been out for a couple years. You missed a boat.
Yeah, and when I was younger, my family wasn't very well off, so we like cut our satellite and cable and stuff. We didn't have TV, so I never saw commercials of anything. So I'm sure there were tons of like Wii commercials on, but I didn't see any of them.
Right. So when you came across it, you were like, "This is so new," and they're like, "Bro, this has been out for like 2 years."
The people at Toys R Us were like, "Sure, kid, just buy it. Come on."
Hey, how about this? think about it this way. You didn't have to deal with that fucking nonsense of trying to find a Wii. How about that? Because for the first year of that system being out, you couldn't find one unless you called everybody every day asking if they got a shipment in. Like, so that, again, think about it that way. You missed that whole bullshit era of Wii's are so scarce. Nintendo artificially did that. Fuck off. I don't care what you say. Nintendo, like, just didn't make enough on purpose. No, it's been like like artificial scarcity is fucking real, and Nintendo is such a culprit for it, and it's such bullshit. Amiibos, for example, the fuck out of here! You're telling me you can't make more Amiibos instead of having people sell them on eBay for $400? Go to hell! Like,
well, yeah, because it looks good, right? If they make, I remember reading that when the SNES Classic came out.
Yep,
they're like, there's no way they don't know this is going to be popular. And they're just making scarce copies so there can be headlines that say, wow, look, this console sold out in 5 minutes. It's so damn popular. It's selling so damn well. People are like, oh, holy shit, maybe I should look at it. Maybe I should get it too.
Yeah, like, they're very
it makes sense.
big. They do it more often than any other company I've seen in like other, like Microsoft does the exact opposite. They're like, you want to pay us $150 for a limited edition of a game? Fuck, we'll make 10,000. Like, they don't care. Like, they will go and make more of the game knowing that they will sell it because Microsoft would rather get that money rather than some third party person on eBay. Like,
yeah.
My brother-in-law, I'm sure didn't coin the term, but he's the first person who told it to me, and I laughed my ass off. He's like, oh man, that amiibo is eBay exclusive. And I'm like, that's fucking hysterical. Because it's like, where are you going to get it? Only on eBay, because you can't fucking get it at Target when they sell 5. Like, it's just so stupid. But yeah, and also too, when they straight up, the NES Classic, when they straight said we're not making them anymore, I was like, why? You guys were selling them all fucking day, and you go, we don't like money anymore? Like, what are you talking about?
When the SNES Classic came out, is my first year at university, and I moved out, and I still had a car, thank God. And I remember driving to the Walmart here in Ottawa, and I think they were coming out around like 11 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. The store had closed. The Walmart was closed because of this.
Wow.
And I got there, and there were so many people. And I thought I'd be like one of the first. I was like an hour early. And there was like 20 people there. I was like, what do we do? Like, do we wait to get in? The guy's like, actually, the people came and gave us like numbers at 5 a.m. To say we can like get a console and stuff. Right. I was like, oh, sweet. Like, how do I get mine? And the guy's like, you don't. Like, they gave them out at 5 and there's no more. I was like, what? I was like, how is there that limited?
Yeah.
Like, again, it doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't. And like my brother-in-law loves Nintendo to death. Like but again, he gets so pissed off at them because like I'm not going to say he's not up to what comes out, right? He is aware of like special editions that come out, but like, when a special edition of a game comes out, like example, for me right now, Smash Brothers Ultimate Edition, the one that comes with like the steelbook and the controller, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know it existed because I'm not as into Nintendo as I am Xbox or something. So I wasn't aware that was a version of the game. By the time I go to pre-order it, it's all sold out. It's gone. They're not making anymore. He would get pissed because he's like, they would sell out so quickly. He's like, guys, if you sell out that quickly, fucking make more. He's like, it doesn't come out for like 8 months. Just make more and then open up pre-orders again. Because I remember Fallout did that with the Pip-Boy edition of Fallout 3 or Fallout 4. It came out, it sold the fuck out, and they were like, whoa, it sold out. Okay, guys, just to be clear, we're going to open it up again. We're going to make more. And here's what it's going to, and like they were clear about it. And I was like, good for you guys, because you recognized how quickly it sold out and how many people wanted it. So you made more. That's how you should do it. And Nintendo's just like, nah, we're not going to do that.
I think they're kind of past philosophy because they're kind of changing it up now in a way.
Right.
Is the game comes out, that's it, it's done. Let's move on to something else. Because even with like Smash Bros. Or Fallout, like you mentioned, they could still do that after the game comes out while it's still selling for a month or two.
Right.
People would still be super interested now. And I think that philosophy even carried into the whole DLC thing, right?
Right.
Because even now, some of their games still aren't doing DLC, where Nintendo fans are begging for it. Like
Right.
Mario Kart. They're like, even though the deluxe version comes out, we want more. Like, let's get DLC. And finally, Nintendo's like, yeah, let's do it. They're not doing it with Mario Kart, but like they just revealed in the current like Smash Direct, they're like, yeah, of course we're doing DLC. Like, this game is perfect for it.
Right.
So
I mean, like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, especially if, you know, if there's people out there that are like, we will pay you money. Please just do this. I get it with a physical item, you know, like I get that and everything. Physical items cost to manufacture. They cost to ship, all that stuff, right? I get that. DLC, I guess it costs money for development, you know, obviously there's some cost to everything, but like, wouldn't it be cheaper to not have to worry about manufacturing and all that and just worry about some dude making the character? Like, and like you're telling me Waluigi won't be DLC eventually, with how many people are like, why the fuck is Waluigi not in this game? Like, with all these people saying that, you imagine they would go, hey yo, start working on Waluigi DLC, we'll announce it and everybody will freak the fuck out and they'll want to buy it.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Never
or
understand
you'll get the
that.
internet who will just be like, Waluigi's not in the game. Don't fucking buy it. They're going to buy. Oh, you make me pay for DLC. Blah blah blah. Shut up. Just like enjoy the things that Nintendo wants to do. But hopefully Nintendo will get their head out of their ass with the limited editions. The only problem is Microsoft's the exact opposite, where they kind of make too many, and then it gets to a point where a limited edition of a game comes out like. And then, like, 6 months down the road, it's like, hey, remember that $300 version of this game? Yeah, it's $50 right now because we have to get rid of them.
I wonder if that's it, right?
It has to be it. That's the only reason why they don't make more of them. Because it's burned me at times because I'm like I paid $150 for that. Now I could buy it for $70. Like, that fucking sucks. Yeah. But also, too, I was scared they weren't going to make as many. And this just happens to be a game they did it. I've learned, like, Microsoft special editions. Yeah, you can kind of hold off and see what happens, you know, unless you're a really big fan and you really don't want to miss out. But like the other day I saw the Wolfenstein like special edition was at GameStop for like $50 and I was like, well, what the fuck? That's cool. But like I'm like, a lot of people probably paid $100 for that and bummed out right now, but it is what it is. So, as far as it goes with today though, you mentioned PS4, like how are your gaming habits like today? Obviously you are done with like your job now is writing. Well, let me rephrase that. Like what is everything like today?
Well, like I said, right? Like my early consoles were mostly Nintendo. Even when it got to like my third generation of Xbox, like I then got a GameCube as well. So that I've always had the Nintendo console, which then carried over to my job. I'm Game Savvy's like Nintendo writer because that's what I love. We had another guy who did it before me, and we were just like talking in our group chat, and he's like, "Yeah, like I'll be the resident Nintendo guy," and I was just like, "But what about me? Like, what do I do?" And like, I had a PS4, so I was like, "Okay, I'll just write about like Sony stuff and whatnot." But it's all I do. It's all I care about, and that sounds kind of like dorky, and I don't know.
But it doesn't. I mean, the thing is like you're like the thing is, it's not necessarily dorky. I mean, the thing is like you're doing something you're enjoying. Like, which real quick, that's the whole goal of life, right? If you can do something you enjoy doing, that's not a job. That's just having fun doing something and getting paid for it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, example, I have a job that I don't necessarily like. However, for the money they pay me for the job that I do, I'm also going to shut the fuck up and take a check because I get paid pretty well for the things I do. Do I like my job? Do I wake up going, yeah, I'm going to go to work and it's going to be great? Not really. That's the whole point. Like, if you can, though, with like what you're doing a job that you enjoy. That's the ultimate goal. So it doesn't get, who gives a shit if people think it's dorky? Like, yeah.
Well, yeah, I didn't mean like, oh, it's dorky, like it's not something I want to talk about type deal. I just mean like, at the moment, there's not much else I got going on besides school. Because here's the thing. Me and Sean Capri had a big conversation about this. I just quit like my actual job, like the thing I used to sustain myself, because of, like you just said, I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I woke up every day. saying, is this going to make me happy today? God, no, I want to cry.
Right. And well, again, again, you have to follow what you think is going to make you happy. And obviously that's not. So if it's not going to make you happy, it's not.
Yeah. And my problem is that it even goes a step further of me looking for a new job right now and looking at almost everything and saying, this is not going to make me happy. Like, I'm going to hate this. Like, why can't I just write full time? Like, I wish it was just easier to find a writing job. Where, like,
I mean, the thing is, as long as you continue to do what you're going to do, I mean, you'll eventually, if you listen to anybody who's like at IGN or anything like that, it's funny because a lot of the IGN people started out as like fans just showing up, and they were just like, just keep writing, keep putting content out, keep practicing your craft, and then eventually you're going to get noticed by somebody like IGN, where you will eventually get paid to do what you like to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, just follow whatever makes you happy. So if work, it really doesn't make you happy, because I've learned, like, as far as being happy goes, it's obviously a matter of perspective, because, like, example, there's people that I work with who cannot stand their job. Like, they just hate their job. And I'm just like, I used to work at Best Buy, working way harder than I do right now, making far less money than I did before I am now. So in my eyes, this is actually a pretty sweet gig. Like, I'm not complaining that much. But then again, you get people that, like, again, it's just a matter of perspective. So, I mean, if you're not happy with your job, though, don't fucking be unhappy, because being unhappy sucks. Nobody likes to be unhappy. So just continue to do what you like, and eventually you'll get to a point where somebody will recognize it. And, as long as you're just making it an effort and making it like a priority, then you'll eventually get there.
Yeah, my thought process is like, every article I do, it's like I'm literally feel like I'm taking like one step forward type deal, or going up like oh, I'm on another plateau of, like, I just finished this big project, like I'm getting closer and closer every time I do so.
Exactly.
Which feels amazing. And, like, I feel like my journey so far hasn't been plagued with a lot of doubt. Like you said, I always listen to stories of, like, people at IGN saying, like, I was a GameStop employee who hated their life, or even YouTube personalities who are like, I started from absolutely nothing. I made videos in a tiny room talking to a camera. I felt like shit every day. I felt like nothing I was doing mattered. And I was like, that's me. I'll make it for sure.
Yeah.
And especially, like, even just the past few weeks of me feeling like I need to quit this job, I hate it, and then me finally doing so, even feels like another step further in a way, because even though like I'm a little poor, like, maybe I'll open up a Patreon type. No, I'm joking. Of, like, things aren't going not well, but they're kind of stagnant in that sense. I feel like my creativity has gone up so much. In the past few weeks, I've been on Bobby's show, I've been on Sean's show, and now I'm doing this right now. So, like, everything on this end has been, like, 100%, which is so, like, encouraging.
Right.
And if anything, like, if anyone listens to this, or like, whenever I talk to people in my personal life or my colleagues, I always say, like, right now is going to be like the good old days. Like, you got to think that right now, these are the days that you're going to look back and be like, oh, I wish I was still, like, just that guy putting all of his heart into, like, all of his work. And I felt so creative, and, like, it was a struggle, but I was having fun. It's like, you're going to look back at this and just wish you could do it again. Even though, like, maybe you've achieved your dream, or maybe, like, you've moved on to something else. Like, you really got to view, like, every day, every situation, or every obstacle as moving forward, and just try and turn it into something positive in a way.
Yeah, as long as you're moving forward, as long as you're pushing forward and like progressing is basically the big thing. You just don't want to regress. You want to just progress every day. So
exactly,
that's the number one thing.
I've always had a problem of like looking to the past too much of like, oh, I wish I could go back and change this, or oh, I wish I could just like relive this day over once more. And I always thought like, I wish I could just go back to the good old days. And then I realized like, okay, but like I have to stop doing that. There's no point. I'm never going to get back to that.
Right.
I have to make these days the good old days. I have to focus more on today.
You could always say over and over, like, oh, I wish I did things different. But also, if you did things different, who knows how it would be now? You know what I mean? You don't know if it would be better or if it would be worse. Like, where would you be? So the only thing you could do is just anything you do, just learn from it and just progress moving forward. That's as best as you can do.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we've gone from gaming history to motivational speech.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, again, like, it's about video games, so it ties in. Anybody who has a problem, shut up. We're trying to be positive. Nobody wants to be negative in this world. So, if people wanted to check out all of the cool things that you do on the internet, where would they go?
So like I said, I'm a writer for GameSavvy.net. If there's anything Nintendo on there, it's probably written by me. And then my Twitter is Sterling Silver at sterlinggill.com. Sterling Gill at Twitter. You know what I.
Absolutely. And yeah, go ahead.
I didn't really have anything else. We do have a YouTube channel, but we don't upload very much. So,
well, there you go. I mean, you got content. There's plenty of stuff out there. If people want to check out any of the things he has, I'll have links in the show notes for all of the above. And if anybody has a problem with the way the show ended, shut up. Quit being negative. Think positive. Everybody go out there and do something to make yourself happy. So, thank you so much, Sterling, for being on the show, man. I really do appreciate you sharing all your stories and having a chat with me.
Yeah, hopefully I motivated someone in the end.
Absolutely.
They're just I don't want to be happy. How dare he?
Everybody go out there and do something that makes yourself happy. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. And again, thank you, Sterling, for being on the show. Guys, if you want to check him out on Twitter, you can go ahead and check him out at Sterling Gill. That's Sterling, just like it's spelled, and then Guil. Of course, you could check out a website, GameSavvy.net, where he's the Nintendo writer there. Of course, all the links in the show notes for all of the above. Again, if you guys want to be on the show just like he was, send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 on Twitter, or at the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. We also have a Facebook group. Just go ahead and search up Growing Up Gaming on there. You could join it there, as well as on YouTube, GUG Podcast. And of course, we're on Spotify now, so you can listen to me however you'd like. I'm on every single platform I think I could possibly be on. If there's any new ones that I don't know of, some weird ones, feel free to let me know and I'll figure that out as well. Again, don't forget to subscribe to the show, rate us on iTunes, give us some sort of share with your friends, let people know about the show. The more people I get on, the more everybody hears their story, and I really enjoy talking to people. I really enjoy hearing everybody's perspective because it's obviously different than mine. I didn't grow up in the middle of nowhere. I like to hear people that did. So again, thank you, Sterling, for being on the show, and thank you guys for your support each and every week, and I'll catch you guys next week with another new episode. See ya.